You're listening to the Listing a Week podcast, a podcast that teaches real estate agents how to generate a listing a week and grow their business. My name is Todd Tramonte, and I'm a Dallas, Texas-based real estate broker, author, radio host, team leader, and real estate coach. And I'm sitting down with my team of agents to talk about how they generate a listing a week or more, the lessons they've learned, and how they differentiate in a noisy real estate industry, and how you can too. Hey folks, Todd Tramonte here with the Listing a Week podcast with another episode for you here as we close out the year 2019. We're dealing with holidays, we're dealing with weather patterns and all sorts of things as we talk with our team members as well as coaching and consulting clients about adding a listing a week, or of course a buyer a week, but adding a listing a week to your business. So we've got a topic that we want to cover today. I've got Ian Daniels here, as
Hello.
Most of you know, our team lead. For those of you catching us on video and not just the audio, we sort of feel like two European soccer announcers right now.
So happy right now.
Which Ian has a lot more experience with than me. I'm just going to go Spanish here in a minute and yell goal anytime you talk.
Perfect.
Great.
Yep.
Nailed it. By the way, total sidebar, but if any of you have not seen our YouTube video where Ian explains the game of cricket to me in a similar format, you definitely need to go check that out because I look like an idiot and no one understands what Ian's saying. So it's a great video all the way around.
Somebody didn't like it, but that's okay.
Yeah,
you can't please everyone.
Some angry cricket fans in the comments, but that means you got a good video. So for the topic of the day, the question that we want to answer and discuss for yours and our benefit today is, can you actually sustain a listing a week? Now, I think we've been doing this long enough and people have been around coaching and consulting with us enough or gotten to know some of our team members enough to know that you can achieve a listing a week. And if you're not at a point yet where you believe that for yourself, please go back and listen to past episodes. Jump in and check out a lot of our free YouTube content, or maybe come out and see us for an event or something soon. But you absolutely can get a listing a week, or you can add a listing a week to whatever you're already doing in your business. So you may already be doing 20 or 30 listings a year. You can add another listing every week. You might be doing 200. Now, that's not even numbers that we necessarily want on our team, but I want you to be able to go and get as many listings as you want. And I'm not telling you that it's going to be really, really easy, but it is fairly simple. You do have to work hard. But for the purpose of today's episode, let's talk about, can you sustain a listing a week for the long term? What are some of your initial thoughts for folks that might be listening?
Yeah, the most simple answer is yes. Now, you're going to have to do things to be able to make sure that you can sustain it. You're going to have to leverage your time. You're going to have to make sure you're planning well, that you're using other people. Like, the odds are it will be very, very difficult to compound it over a long period of time, adding a listing a week, and do it all by yourself. Right? That's going to be very, very hard.
Now, let me interject here real quick. And if you're a solo agent, don't bail out. All by yourself doesn't mean you have to have a team or a brokerage, but
Correct.
It might mean that you need some part-time help or some virtual help or just some vendor partners that you work really closely with that help leverage your time and energy. And trust me, if you're doing 50, 60 listings a year, or if your listing a week means you want to work 40 weeks, whatever that looks like. But if you're doing more than, say, 20 listings, there's going to be vendors and vendor partners that want to keep you really happy, that want to lean in and make an extra call for you or do some mailing for you or provide some technology for you or partner with you in some of those ways.
Yeah.
So that you can go do 6 or 8 or 10 more and everybody benefits. So,
well, I just had a conversation with one of our team members who he just took 7 listings in 7 days and was just talking to me about, man, like, how do I keep this going, right? How do I get some help for this? I've got to go and drop off signs and lock boxes and pick up signs and pick up lock. And I just said, man, even on a team, you're going to get to the point where you may want to consider hiring somebody for you that's going to be able to go and run some of those errands for you.
Right.
$15 an hour, do a few hours a week and go pick up some stuff. That gives you time back to be able to focus on getting the listings.
And in our team environment, that's step 3 or 4 when someone's truly taking a listing a day, which we joked about inside of our private Facebook for our coaching program is, the guy on Jeremy's the one on our team that's doing that. You guys have seen him on several episodes.
Yep.
And we joked that, Jeremy will now be teaching the listing a day program shortly. But the truth is, and that's kind of a, silly joke, but the reality is he's just running the exact same program he's been running.
Right.
He had he had some things line up, but he also was really working at it. So he had a couple team appointments, he had a couple referral appointments, and he had a couple prospecting appointments.
Yeah, it was all 3 pillars that we talk about.
It was a well-rounded 7 straight, work days of taking listings.
And on the team, that might be the 3rd or 4th step, but for a solo agent, that might be the 1st step.
Right. It might be your first step to have a junior agent. We have a coaching client right now that we're talking about building, just adding one person to their business as a licensed kind of junior agent, which some people might call an assistant or a buyer's agent or whatever, but an all around, one person that would shadow you and get an unbelievable learning opportunity that would be able to give you an extra 30% time, energy efficiency so that you could go take 30 or 40% more listings or buyers or clients or whatever without necessarily having to work harder, more hours, more energy. There's a lot more to it. One of the things I would say that might sound different from what Ian said, it's not different, but it might sound different, is you do need to change your strategies from time to time. Now, if you are literally running our listing a week program, you don't need to change that program. You don't need to change the systems. But for example, if it's April, I'm going to be prospecting one way in April. I'm going to be prospecting a very different way in December. So you're going to change your strategies up in that regard. For example, in December, you're probably hearing a lot of people say, we're going to wait until next year. We're going to wait until spring and summer. We're going to wait until after the holidays. Well, you might change your strategy up to where you're now scheduling strategy session appointments for January as opposed to listing appointments right now.
Yep.
Whereas in May, a lot of the people that you're talking to that are warm, motivated prospects might be ready to go straight to a listing appointment, although you might still want to fill your pipeline for the future. You definitely do. But my point is to be able to sustain a listing a week or a listing at whatever pace you want all year long, you've got to be willing to change your approach up a little bit throughout the year. There's going to be times where it takes more calls to get the appointment. There's going to be times where you've got to get face-to-face more. There's going to be times where you're inclined to get more repeat and referral business, and times where you need to kind of, lean on that lever of prospecting more.
Well, ultimately, the way that you're going to do that is using December to really think through what that year is going to look like, right? Using the time now to think through, in my market, with my business, what does that year look like? Mm-hmm. When are those times when it's a little quieter in my market? Do I live in an area where the winters are really cold, lots of snow, and it quiets down? Is that the time that I do more of those strategy sessions? Like, you need to know your market is the point. For example,
some of you are rolling your eyes right now because you live in a vacation market, right? You live in Florida or Lake Tahoe, something like that, where the bulk of your sales people aren't local. They're out of town selling a vacation property there, or they come at a different time of year. And it may be that the fall is when people stop coming to the beach, and you see a lull in not necessarily market activity, because if you know me, I want to coach you and lead you to consistency and repeatability and predictability. But you might have, 70% of your face-to-face market activity is during the summer months when people are at their summer vacation rentals. And then the fall is when you're burning up the phones more. And the winter is when you put together some mail and some creative packages. And the spring is maybe when you try to host some event, whatever. But the fact is, we recognize that your market might be different. And that's what I mean by you need to adjust your strategy. You don't change your system. You don't change what you deliver to the client, but you change the way you're going after getting clients or the way you're cultivating long-term client value. Something else that I want to add to answer the original question we asked, which is, can you do this consistently? Can you sustain this? And a big piece of that is creating a really healthy mindset, right? So if your mindset was, I want to sell houses the same exact way all year, yet you're in a vacation market, or you're in northern Michigan and winters just, destroy your market for a while, or you're in Florida and there's a hurricane season or whatever. if you're under the impression that every day and every week all year long needs to look the same, that's going to destroy your attitude, your optimism, your positive energy, your mindset.
We talk about this same thing with clients and prospects, right? There is no one size fits all when it comes to selling a home. We tell people all the time, when we're talking with a prospect and somebody asks us, what do you charge? We say, we don't know yet. Yep. Because we don't know what it's going to take to sell your home. Your home is not the same as your neighbor, the one down the street, the one in a different neighborhood. Yep. There's no one-size-fits-all plan. It's the same thing what you're talking about here. You can't have that same one plan throughout the entire year. Right. There's fluctuations
and there's no perfectly distributed production. You're not going to do 52 listings, one every single week. You might do 52 listings, but you did one this week and none that week and 3 the next week and 2 the next week and none the next week. And, that's just the way the world works. I mean, you get sick, you get busy, you travel, you go on vacation, so do your clients. And we want you to be able to travel.
Hopefully you are going on vacation.
We want you to be able to rest. I gave everyone on our team a hammock as one of their Christmas gifts this year. Like, go set that thing up and actually rest sometime. But
he doesn't realize it's going to be in our offices.
I did realize that, but I'm terrified there's going to be like 6 stacked high in our new tall ceiling office environment. But anyway, just as we wrap up a shorter episode today, the goal is to encourage you that you can sustain this over the long haul. Just to use Jeremy as the example, in his first year on the team, I think he signed 56 listings or something like that. We did the math the other day. And in the last 7 or 8 or 9 days, I mean, he's taken a listing every single day. Now, to go the other way and to say John, who's been on our team 5 years, has basically taken a listing every week that he worked for 5 straight years, give or take, right? So there have been years where he worked 38 weeks. He took a lot of time off and had a lot of family stuff going on. And there have been years where he worked 44 or 45 or 46 weeks, but those end up being the number of homes he's. It's almost in a perfectly directly correlated.
John signed 3 last week, right? I mean, we're talking about Jeremy signing 7, but John signed 3, which is amazing.
Yeah, really rough week. He's playing for second place. But the fact of the matter is, it may terrify you to think about having 7 listing appointments in 1 week and signing every single one of them. My hope is that we can get you to a point where that's exciting, but you don't have to do that. If your goal is 40 listings, or maybe it's 40 sides this year, and you might want to do 25 listings and 15 buyers or whatever it looks like, you can do that and you can sustain it over a very long period of time. If you believe you can, if your mindset is willing to deal with some of the fluctuations and changes of things, and if my system is not going to change all year long, but my approach, my attitude, the number of phone calls or face-to-face time or appointments or back office work or whatever is going to change throughout the seasonality, throughout weather changes, throughout your travel, changes, things like that, then you can get this done. So all that to say, if you're interested in adding a listing a week, or of course we have an entire buyer system as well, we would love to give you an entirely free video series about this. Head over to alistingaweek.com. alistingaweek.com. You can get a free video series where I interviewed amazing key leaders within our business and around our business of residential real estate on what they would do to add a listing a week to their business. It's totally free at alistingaweek.com. Now, of course, once you go through that stuff, there's some opportunities for some paid help. We have training programs, we have coaching groups, we have events, all sorts of cool stuff going on. One event that I'm really excited about, we just did an event for a very new program we have called the 7-Figure Agent. It includes our entire Listing a Week module training program, our entire Buyer a Week module training program, and then Ian has really been helpful in helping me create our Don't Go It Alone program. So all 3 of those things crammed together, taught to you live over 2 days here in Dallas, Fort Worth. Easy to get to from all over the country, cheap flights, cheap hotels. 2 days together. Would love to get you some more information on that. If you would like information on that, go ahead and just email Ian at toddtramonte.com. It's just IAN at toddtramonte.com. My name is somewhere around this video. You can see the spelling and all that. But email, yes, one of these places. Somewhere. Ian at toddtramonte.com. There'll be a link below the video where you can track us down. But free educational stuff over at alistingaweek.com. And there's some offers there for some paid stuff, but you can get some totally free stuff too. Or if you're interested in that 2-day intensive training program, we had a blast doing it in early December.
Come on.
Really, really looking forward to February. We've got that about 1/3 full or half full at this point.
Yep,
We've got room for maybe 7 more, 6 or 7 or 8. Something. We
Somewhere
don't really
around
want more than like 15 primary people in the room, so it stays really deep and focused on our people. So anyway, would love to have you there if you're interested. If not, go get some free stuff over at alistingaweek.com, and we will talk to you on the next one.
Ciao.
Over and out.